Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of FitzRupee Cast featuring DoW2 Retribution. Red-Rupee here calling the shots for you as always. We are on Green Tooth Gorge, one of my favorite one-on-one maps. I've been getting to cast all my favorite ones recently. This one and Civil Frontier, probably my top choices as a Tech Marine player. Anyways, we're on retail tonight. We're not doing any Elite mod. Of course, the 2.09 patch is out. So be sure to start sending in the replays from that, and I will be certain to start casting them. And I'd also like to add, don't forget this is the last day to hop on in and get in on the contest, my holiday giveaway. Get a chance to win FTL or DoW2 Retribution, of course, and then everyone's going to get entered for a chance to win a pre-ordered copy of Company of Heroes 2. Of course, once again, in case you're not aware, all you got to do is hop over to my Facebook or Twitter and like or follow those respectively, and then just drop a comment for which game you're looking to win, and then you will be entered. Don't comment here, comment there. You got to do it there or you will not be entered. Anyways, let's go ahead, take a look at our lineup today. We're on retail, of course. We've got the Chaos Lord, Mr. Ohuevator, if I'm saying that correctly, hopefully, as the blue team. And then on the red side, we've got KaelaMenshaKhaine as the Eldar Warlock. So let's go ahead, get things started, and we're going to have to see if the Warlock's Battle Mage style play can live up against the brute force and tankiness of the Chaos Lord. So I feel like the Chaos Lord actually has kind of a stronger early game advantage himself, and of course the Chaos Heretics are going to be pretty solid melee banshee deterrents. Of course, with Kill the Weak and the Chaos Heretics Doom Blast, very effective against those lightly armored Eldar infantry. And of course the Chaos Lord himself, I mean, even as Guardians can kite him around, he still does pretty reasonable damage with his Storm Bolter, and if he upgrades to his ranged weapon, he will do even more damage. So Banshee's coming on the field along with a second squad of Guardians for Kaela, and Ohuevator sitting with just the Chaos Space Marines for now. Looks like he's not going to be going for the second squad of Heretics, so I'm sure we'll be seeing another squad of Chaos Space Marines coming on the field here shortly. So that's going to give him some nice tanky damage output between the Chaos Lord himself and those two. Oh my goodness, he tried to get the Kill the Weak decap, couldn't quite pull it off. The Warlock was still just barely in range. If you notice, a little trick that you'll see people do is use Kill the Weak, knock someone back, and then just tap the point to cancel the cap. The Warlock, in the meantime, got knocked down to about a 2/3 HP. Heretics way out of position here. They're going to try to engage these Guardians, but they're just going to get kited around. He should realize right now that he kind of just has the fallback. Banshees are going to be in the retreat path if he chooses to engage. He realizes that he's in a bit of danger, decides to fall back after losing a single model, and now the Warlock, Banshees, and Guardians are moving in. Going to be in perfect position to bash power, but Ohuevator hasn't built any yet. Of course, going for that second Chaos Space Marine, there is no need for him to build up that power right away. He wanted to get that second squad out there as soon as he could. Guardians spot the threat of the Chaos Lord and his Chaos Space Marines. Chaos Lord moving in, trying to get a Kill the Weekend. Banshees juking around, trying to get around so they can engage those Chaos Space Marines. In the meantime, they're taking lots of fire. They decide they're going to have to fall back. They may have actually won that melee engagement straight up if the Banshees were at about half health on their own. The Chaos Space Marines will actually kill them in melee so long as the Banshees don't get too many special attacks. But with the supporting fire of both those Guardian squads, of course, that was going to be a no-brainer win for the Eldar player. Banshees very low health, retreating past the Chaos Lord. I'm surprised he didn't turn and take a swing. He probably would have taken out another model or so. In the meantime, Chaos Lord's going to be able to force off and chase around all these Guardians on their own. Second squad of Chaos Space Marines moving in as Kaela brings out a Shuriken weapons team. Still no power up for Ohuevator, however, so a couple generators going up right now for Kaela. Only a single node now popping for Ohuevator. Chaos Heretics gonna go ahead and start capping some requisition, and if all these rec points turn into Ohuevator's hands, he'll have a solid resource income advantage.
Ready for eternal war.
Shuriken cannon coming out here. The Shuriken's going to be a great way to kind of control the Chaos Lord. On its own, it's obviously not going to be too much of a threat, but just having it out there and having that arc of fire is some solid DPS that goes into that Chaos Lord pretty much wherever he walks. So it really does help lock down the map and kind of control where that big, slow, stompy hero is going to be at. So Havoc's on the field as well, which is obviously going to be a great control for the Banshees and the Warlock himself. No war gear for either hero yet. And the Banshees not upgraded either, and normally you see the Banshees get upgraded pretty quickly. We'll have to see if Kaela decides to do that. He's got the resources for it. The aspect upgrade is just so very important for Banshees, especially against like Chaos Space Marines and things like that. Without that aspect upgrade, they pretty much, as I mentioned before, will likely lose those one-on-one engagements. Because even if they were to rush in right here, right now, the initial volleys those Chaos Space Marines get off would make the Banshees low enough to give the Space Marines a reasonable chance at winning in melee. So Chaos Havoc's moving in on the field. Kaela being very smart with his Banshees, not engaging. A lot of Eldar players get a little overconfident with those Banshees rather quickly and just kind of send them in the second they see Space Marines. And sometimes you just can't quite go for it. Ohuevator, however, setting up the Havoc on the natural power farm of Kaela and might be getting a little lockdown pin right here if he's not careful. Shuriken is here, manages to get the suppression, surprisingly has line of fire just barely over that arc right there. A lot of people think this tree right here blocks a lot of this line of sight, but as you can see, it's actually only right here that it blocks. So that Shuriken's in a perfect position. Grenade goes down on those Havocs, forces the retreat. Heretics, however, in on the Shuriken cannon, forcing it back, though not causing many losses. A nice-looking Destructor in the midst of all of that. Perfect shot from the Warlock. Those Chaos Space Marines are pretty low. Gonna have to be careful. They do have a kind of screen of the Chaos Heretics for them and the Banshees. They're also getting their Expiring Champion right now, which will add to their combat durability and really allow them to take on these Banshees one-on-one. Surprisingly, though, all the Chaos Space Marines pulled back. They probably could have finished off that generator if I were to guess, but choosing to play it safe, knowing that Shuriken was going to come back out here shortly, and wanting to have this range-fired power to focus down the Banshees while he has the chance. That Shuriken's very low. Chaos Space Marines need to back off before they get suppressed. Instead, everything's kind of just charging into the arc of fire. It would have been so easy to flank around the back, but the Shuriken unsets up for some reason and allows those Heretics to move in. Guardian's trying to focus the Heretics down, but it's not going to do anything in time. Both Guardian squads get pushed back by the Chaos Lord. Kaela doesn't want to lose any unnecessary requisition right there. And both players have their full farms up. Kaela heading into Tier 2 well ahead of Ohuevator, who's spent quite a bit of power upgrading Eternal War, getting the Havocs, getting the Chaos Heretic Aspiring Champion. While meanwhile, Kaela's been very frugal. Hasn't even gotten the Aspect upgrade until just now, like I mentioned. Has one battle equipment and one Shuriken cannon, no war gear on his heroes, so a pretty slim Tier 1, all things considered. 45 power spent total. Now these Chaos Space Marines finding themselves a bit out of position. Havoc's there to support them, keep those Banshees from chasing any further, so they only lose the one model. However, Guardians were trying to get the flank in. Good reaction time by Ohuevator. He managed to retarget the range blob that was moving in. Chaos Heretics were there to support it and push them back. In the meantime, Banshees have been upgraded with their X-Arc. Warlock's kind of just hanging out for the time being, and we're seeing a Bright Lance on the field. That might end up being a premature purchase. Heretics engaging those Banshees, realizing a bit too late that they needed to get out of there. Lost quite a few unnecessary models, and the Warlock and Banshees are going to be able to shred this Havoc as well. It didn't get its set up in time, and it might be going down because of it. If Swift Movement was activated, I'm not sure if it was, but even if it wasn't, it looks like that Havoc is not going to make it home. Not a good loss for Ohuevator. He does have the resources to go to Tier 2, but it looks like he's kind of slipping up on his macro right there, letting his economy get a little out of control. Needs to catch up in tech here and get something on the field in Tier 2. Luckily for him, though, Kaela's first Tier 2 unit was a Bright Lance, perhaps expecting an early Dreadnought or, of course, the infamous Blood Crusher that's such a pain. But for now, all that Bright Lance is going to be is just wasted requisition and unnecessary upkeep. It's trying to find some use. It's going to hop in this garrison, I suppose, and maybe try to take out the power node and generator over here while the Guardians try to engage these Chaos Space Marines. Really need to get a couple energy shields up here in the center to try to mitigate that range damage that's going to be coming in from those dual Chaos Space Marines for the time being. Would really give those Guardians some survivability. Of course, the Chaos Lord can stomp on those shields and take them out. But of course, you know, any kind of control you can put out there to influence your opponent's decisions is a big help. Warlock's moving in, and it looks like, oh, he's got the Witchblade of Kurnos, which had those units stayed around a bit longer. Oh my goodness, Banshee's taking out an entire Chaos Marine squad on retreat. But of course, that Witchblade of Kurnos is going to be a huge deterrent from any sort of melee movement in here. Ohuevator on the back foot big time right now. Kaela needs to get some map control and start putting the VP pressure on, however. With this kind of current advantage, there's no reason he shouldn't be holding all the VPs with the Warlock and Eldar army. Banshee's going to go in for some power harass. There are some Chaos Space Marines in that guard tower. Guardians are all busy capping, so they're not going to be in any range right now to kind of drop grenades in and force those Chaos Space Marines out. Right Lance is going to start getting some power kills in the meantime. Banshees decide to fall back. Heretics moving in on these Guardians. They're not upgraded at all. And finally, we do see a Blood Crusher coming onto the field. An interesting choice considering there is already a Bright Lance on the field. Of course, that on its own won't be enough to deter the Blood Crusher, but along with the Banshees, if they time their attacks correctly, they can do some serious damage to it. I wouldn't be surprised to see some Warp Spires come on the field or something like that. Oh, but maybe not. Kaela is instead going straight for Tier 3, as Ohuevator still holding on to the VPs despite being at a pretty huge army disadvantage right now. I think Kaela needs to kind of be a lot more aggressive with his map control right now. But we'll have to see how these next few engagements play out. Right Lance going for some decap on some requisition points, maybe getting a bit too brazen as the Blood Crusher comes in and makes short work of it. Warlock tried to go for the cap, but got deterred by some Chaos Space Marine fire. Chaos Lord looks like he's going to go in here, try to get himself a kill of the week, but misses it. Nice dodge by the Banshees. Banshee's very aware of what he's capable of. There goes the swift movement right now, and down goes the Chaos Lord. Another big loss for Ohuevator. Brought his second squad of Chaos Space Marines back, but I don't think it's going to matter too much if he keeps sacrificing models and squads like this. Banshees managed to take out another Chaos Space Marine model, but the Blood Crusher's still kind of running around unabated. Right Lance is moving in, but he needs to make sure that Blood Crusher doesn't spot it before he has the opportunity to do anything about it. He's already used his charge, so that is on cooldown. Blood Crusher's moving in on the Bright Lance. He's going to be able to get out of that Arc of Fire, but he's taken heavy damage in the meantime. Heretics need to get up there and repair him, or at least heal him up with some worship. But they're on capping duty right now, and there's not much out to support that Blood Crusher. There are a pair of Guardian squads out here getting some caps on the victory point. In the meantime, Bright Lance actually got into that garrison and had some pretty nice range. I was actually surprised to see how far it was firing right there. But the Blood Crusher gets away before that last shot finishes it off. In the meantime, there goes the Worship, starts healing up that Blood Crusher. Guardians capping and Banshees charging in against all of those Chaos Space Marines. Oh, a bit premature on that retreat, I feel like. They could have kind of just fallen back. They did have the cover of the Bright Lance, so the Banshees could have tried to engage and pull that Blood Crusher back into the range of that Bright Lance. Witchblade hasn't done too much so far, and now the Warlock's retreating. That might have been accidental. I feel like that had to have been. He was probably accidentally selected him while he had something else selected instead of just capping some of those points back for himself. Kaela playing very well, but not doing that kind of usual Eldar map control that we see so much. Guardian getting launched out of the window there by Let the Galaxy Burn. Chaos Lord upgraded with his Armor of the Inferno right now.
We shall triumph.
Sending him back after realizing he was a bit too brazen, dropping those fireballs in under such heavy Eldar fire. You can see that that Shuriken platform just barely fits in that window, kind of just sitting there on its own. Not even a Guardian there to help fire it, no problem. Banshees and Warlock again way back in enemy territory. Ohuevators kind of come back. Kaela is floating like a madman, has over 1,000 requisition. I'm not sure if he's just going to be holding out already at this point for Avatar, but I feel like he could close this game. He could have closed this out a while ago, I think, if he had just gone ahead, gotten himself a Wraith Lord, and just started holding map. Because the only thing that's really keeping Kaela from holding everything right now is this Blood Crusher. There was a point in Tier 2 where Ohuevator only had the 2 squads, and then his Chaos Lord went down. So I feel like Kaela missed a real opportunity to do some solid map damage. Banshee's under a lot of trouble right now. They fall back. Warlock again kind of retreating along with the Banshees. Perhaps they're on the same number key. But Warlock was pretty high health. There was no reason for him to get out of there on his own. He could have hung out, dropped maybe a couple of ethereal slashes or something like that. But there is an Avatar in the queue now. Ohuevator heading into Tier 3 himself. And I'm not sure if that's going to be a good decision or not, because right now, Corn Dreadnought would certainly be the thing to have. This Blood Crusher's been proving itself very useful so far. And the VPs are pretty much even up. There's a 30-point difference, but that's not going to mean too much in the long run. Again, I just feel like Kaela needs to get on those VPs, get on the map, and really punish. You know, he kind of missed the opportunity to punish his opponent for losing those squads. And Ohuevator's kind of back in the game here. This Bright Lance, unfortunately, just hasn't really done anything to make it worth its cost. Blood Crusher's trying to stay on that Bright Lance. Banshee's just running around, kind of ambivalent, not sure what they want to go after right now. Let the Galaxy Burn goes down on the ranged blob. And by the time the Banshees realize that they need to be focusing down that Blood Crusher, it's a bit too late. They're taking tons of focus fire. Guardian's going down. Avatar's on the field and going to start pushing out here. But Kaela just hasn't been able to do any real effective damage in the past few engagements here. It's been kind of falling back a bit early. Grenade going down, not really hitting anything. Chaos Space Marines getting very low. Avatar, I mean, Kaela is kind of like, you have to play this way in some regards to like kind of ignore the Blood Crusher sometimes, move around them and just kind of engage around the Blood Crusher and keep map when you have to. But Kaela has had the opportunity to get out some anti-vehicle measures and all that kind of stuff, and at this point the Blood Crushers cost so much requisition loss, so much lost map control, that there's really no reason he shouldn't have focused that down by now. Gotten some Warp Spiders out with a Haywire Grenade or anything like that to really single it out. Good note right here by Kaela, recognizing that the Chaos Lord was heading up to this VP. Pulled that Shuriken out because another Let the Galaxy Burn would have surely destroyed the squad. Plague Marines on the field now for Ohuevator. He's gone Tier 3, but isn't bringing anything Tier 3 out right now, so that's always something I feel like I'd like to warn against. I see people kind of go Tier 3 early when they don't need to, and especially in retail, Chaos Tier 2 is just all you need, I feel like. I mean, unless you need a Predator or something like that, but all things considered, your Tier 2 is going to be immensely powerful as Chaos. Look at this Avatar just taking tons of focus fire. 2 squads of Siege Marine, Plague Marines out here. They need nice little warp throw, defensive warp throw right there, allowing those Banshees to get in, find just enough time to stop a volley of those dual Siege Marines right there. Ethereal Slash going off right there, taking out completely that squad of heretics. In the meantime, Blood Crusher's kiting around with this Avatar. Blood Crusher knocking Banshees all over the place. I feel like it may have been more effective to just use that Warp Throw offensively, toss those Siege Marines up this way, up in this direction, up towards the Avatar. I like that defensive play though, that was pretty nice. Bought those Banshees just enough time to get in and do their work. In the meantime, both squads of Guardians looked like they were about to throw a grenade, but hesitated and fell back. Chaos Lord went down again right there. There goes the sweet spot. Double grenades right on those Plague Marines, takes out 2 of them. Of course, they're very resilient, going to be staying on the field, but Plague Marines are not cheap to reinforce, so it's always nice to take those out. Guardians upgraded with their Aspect and their Warlocks right now. I think both squads are. Yes, both squads are, in fact, have both upgrades right now. But this Blood Crusher still running around harassing, still constantly picking off Guardians. A nice shot from a newly acquired D cannon right there. It doesn't look like the second one's going to go off in time. I think it was out of range. Oh my gosh, it did fire. Did it take it out? It did take it out. Oh my goodness. I spoke too soon. I forget how ridiculous the range on those D cannons are. But I still feel like that's shot way out of range. Perhaps because the Blood Crusher had activated its charge and then the D cannon was already winding up when it was moving out. But anyways, Blood Crusher finally goes down. With the loss of the Blood Crusher and those heretics, it's not looking good for Ohuevator at all right now. However, he still has about 150 point VP lead. So that kind of stereotypical Eldar map control nuisance play we're not really seeing from Kaela. He's just kind of been getting in the Chaos player's face and trying to just do damage. After finally taking out that Blood Crusher, though, he really should have a much easier time of holding the field. Avatar is healing up back at the base.
You are losing us a victory point.
Did have a Warp Gate down here, which I always love seeing Warp Gate play from Eldar. They're so very effective in one-on-one games, I feel like, and especially now that there aren't any detectors on the field. So long as you use them wisely and don't pop in and out of them while the enemy's watching, it's really hard for them to isolate where that Warp Gate is and deal with that. Warp Throw pulling those Chaos Space Marines off the point, buying a few extra moments of VP countdown right there. In the meantime, Guardians running around, capping the map, and the map is slowly turning more and more red. And that's kind of exactly what you want to see from the Eldar side. Fire Prism coming on the field. A Singularity went off in the middle, but Ohuevator was watching. Managed to get those Plague Marines out of range relatively easily, and now they're moving in to start harassing these Guardians. Not before, however, a nice long-range artillery shot from that D cannon turns one of them into bits. Avatar now moving up onto the field and ready to start engaging once again. Ohuevator also floating now like a madman. Kind of both players, I guess, just not quite sure what they want to purchase against each other, but we're going to have the Guo versus the Avatar here in a second. The Great Unclean One now in the queue, coming on the field. Nastiest sucker in the game. He is not a pleasant-looking fella. These two squads of Siege Marines want to engage, not quite sure what they need to do. They should probably just focus down those Guardians right now and try to take out what they can. Because them on their own are not going to do too much to that Avatar. Here comes another Wailing Doom, but it looks like it's going to be a second too late. We've seen quite a few go off, but none of them have really connected yet. Kaela finally having some reasonable map control. He's going to start bringing those VPs into his favor and try to even those out and take the lead.
If that victory point.
Meanwhile, Ohuevator just kind of has to hold out till he gets this Great Unclean One on the field. Honestly, though, I kind of feel like... I don't know, I still feel like I would have liked to have seen a Dreadnought here a while ago, but we're going to have to see how this works. Warp Throw into Wailing Doom, and oh my goodness, beautiful shot. Doesn't take out any squads, but turns a few Chaos Space Marines into bits. A nice play. I always like seeing Warp Throw used in conjunction with those nasty AoE abilities. Oh, and here he is, the Great Unclean One. Oh, he's just gross. Look at that guy. Oh my goodness. Anyways, triple cap against Ohuevator, and all kinds of wacky Russian words and letters there. I don't know what any of these players are saying. Any of you Russian viewers, you'll have to let me know. Here comes another Let the Galaxy Burn. Guardians activate their fleet of foot, but they kind of run right into the path of a couple of those fireballs. In the meantime, Great Unclean One coming in from behind for the flank. Those guys need to get out of there if they've got the opportunity. Avatar's chasing it around, so Kaela knows it's there. But it looks like this Guardian squad isn't going to get out of there. Oh, he used his special ability. He should have just let the Great Unclean One take a swing, and then if he needed to, he could have flesh hooked it or something. But we're seeing the Fire Prism and the Avatar now focusing down this Great Unclean One. And they're going to win that handily. Plague Marines need to get up here and try to scare off that Fire Prism. D-Cannon firing into the blob of Chaos Space Marines. 145 to 199. Here goes a Singularity scaring off those Chaos Marines. This Great Unclean One's kind of stranded out here right now, though. Plague Marines moving in on the Fire Prism. I think they shouldn't have backed off. I think they should have just kept moving in on it. A nice shot, knocked back by the Fire Prism, and then obliterated again by that Wailing Doom. However, this Great Unclean One doesn't look like he's going to make it out of there in one piece. A nice save, however, by the Chaos Lord. It's not going to be enough. Swift movement's activated, and down goes the Great Unclean One. Oh, and he's a bit unhappy right now. Down he goes, cackling maniacally as he's about to explode and hopefully take out some of his buddies. But that's going to be the game. Ohuevator spots him giving up, decides he's going to throw in the towel. He had lost another of his Chaos Space Marine squads. Kaela doing a great job of just giving squads throughout that game. A little lackluster on his map control play, but all things considered, he did what he needed to do. Isolated the Chaos threats and took them out. Let that Blood Crusher run around a bit too long and cause tons of damage. But once the Fire Prism and Avatar and D-Cannon, I mean, that's 3 tier 3 units, and for Eldar, they're just all amazing. Did a great job with that long-range play. Banshees and Warlock shredded. Some nice warp throw synergies, too, we saw that game. But anyways, that's going to be the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. That's another win for the Warlock. There's the Great Unclean One about to burst into a big gross pile. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. Feel free to comment, subscribe, like the video. I always appreciate it. Be sure to stop by my Facebook or Twitter feeds and sign up for that holiday giveaway. This is the last day for it. I'll be announcing the winners on New Year's Day. This is Red-Rupee. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.